What's up, everybody? It's time for another Accountability Success Quickie. This is number 50. All about how to find balance. And we're going to be using juggling as a metaphor. So you're not going to want to miss this. Wherever you are, come on down. Hit those hearts and those little clappy hands. And let us know what's going down. Yeah. I really like this music.
I know, I'm like totally dancing here.
Hope you're dancing along with us. Just want to make sure that we're live. There's a slight delay. There we are. Now we're officially live. Alright. We are going to reveal ourselves in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Fooled you. Now we're live.
Woohoo! That music is super fun.
Right? It's so much fun.
It's like,
oh my gosh.
It's like you're in a kid club. It's
right?
like you're in a video game club or something like that. It's like some of the stuff that one of my kids listens to. There's this, I don't know, music, I don't know, group or whatever. Like they're called Tokyo Machine.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, you have to check that out because that sounds very much like
Tokyo Machine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think that's who this
that's
is.
That's your tip. Goodbye. No, I'm kidding.
Yes. All right, cool. Welcome. Hello, everybody. We have a very special quickie because we're in April of 2021. It feels kind of weird to say that, but it is true. And we're going to be talking about getting balance in life and business and work. And we're going to be talking about how juggling and the art of juggling can help you get balance. So before we get started, we are your success team from the Accountability Success Circle. And back at the ranch at the ASC, that's this month's theme is balance. And it is spearheaded by the ever so lovely Apryl Schluler. You're on this side. There you are. Hi there.
Hey.
And April, kick us off why balance, and then we'll jump into the quickie.
So, we typically choose the themes to be something that is either kind of prevalent in our lives right now that we need to focus on, or things and conversations that are happening in the ASC. It's like a combination of both. And we're kind of now slowly starting to get out of, lockdown pandemic mode, at least I hope for most places in the United States, at least. And we're starting to get back into life. And, with that comes changes and new things that need to be explored and just trying to figure out what the new normal is. And with that, especially for me, I'm trying to figure out what is balance going to look like post-pandemic. And I did write a book about balance, and so I was like, well, this is a really great time for me to revisit my teachings, because sometimes I can forget, but also share that with the community and share that with you today. So we're going to talk a little bit about finding balance, but this is going to be one of the most exciting quickies that we've ever done. One, because this is episode number 50, which means, Gary, we've done it 50 times. Yay! But also because we put this together using, in such a weird way, or just a different way. We were kind of talking about, what is some other process that's happening in life and how can we use that? So we decided to talk about juggling, which is, something that we tend to talk about when it comes to balance. You're juggling a lot of moving parts and you're just trying to keep everything humming along. But we literally talked about juggling and in creating this content for you today. So I'm super excited about what we're going to share. So shall we dive in?
Let's dive in. Cool.
Okay.
Yes. Number one. So if think about this. Think about whatever you're trying to get balance at, or harmony, or whatever word that you want to do. Just think about that, and let's dive into the material. So, number one, how you can get balance in life and in work is all about being comfortable with failure.
Totally.
And that is the big F word that not a lot of people like to talk about, especially successful, driven folks like yourself.
Yeah.
But think about it like this: failure, like, is all part of the process, and we've mentioned this multiple times. Failure is an event, not a person. And taking it back to juggling, when I was learning how to juggle, the first thing that they said is you're going to drop balls a lot. And in fact, one of the things that they have us do is to throw it up and just let it fall. Just to, experience what it's like. Now, I'm not telling you that you need to just go ahead and fail and just let all the balls that you're juggling drop and fall to the ground. But I am telling you that you need to experiment and know that in order to, scramble some eggs, you're going to break a few eggs, and that's okay.
And I think too, there's the idea of, you know, when you're trying to find balance, it is a lot of trial and error. And I think, one of the things that we are going to talk about, one of the things that I talk about in my book, is that balance is not something that is easily defined, right? There, you can look it up in the dictionary, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's your definition of balance. And so there's a lot of trial and error, not just in trying to determine what balance is for you, but also just trying to figure out, how to put that into action. So you have to expect that, finding balance is going to be a little bit of a longer process. You can't just be like, okay, this is what my balance is, and then just do it. There's going to be some obstacles that kind of get in the way because there's a lot that you're trying to juggle to make that balance happen. So number one, we move to number
Yes.
two.
Number two is all about starting simple and then adding more slowly and steadily. Um, think about all the stuff that you're trying to do. A lot of times, when we're working with people and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's just so overwhelming." Well, we say, yes, we know what your end goal is, but just to make those shifts in your life can be so overwhelming. And to be honest, if you did it all at once, it would probably cause a train wreck. But imagine if you did it little bit by little bit. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear about that because they're like Veruca from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and they're like, I want it now. But if you want it to be lasting, you need to start small and then add. So back to juggling, what we do in the beginning is we throw one ball, we catch it, throw one ball, catch it, throw one ball, catch it. And then we get to the point where we can throw two balls, catch it. Two balls, catch it. And we get to that point where it feels comfortable. And so think about what are the areas that you are looking to get more balance in your life, and what is one small thing that you can do to start to get you in that direction.
Yeah. And I also think too, using Gary's example again with the juggling, you're not going to be like, okay, I'm going to just try to do three. Like if you can't do two, then it's going to be that much harder to try to figure out three. I don't know how to juggle, so I can't even, like, I don't think I can even do two. So really, really take that into account. And also, just as another example, think about if you're trying to run a race, like you're running in the past, I ran a half marathon. You don't go and run 13.1 miles from the get-go. You start with, 1 or 2 miles, and then 3, and then sometimes you step back and go back to the 1 or 2, and then you try 4, and you keep on working up, and then all of a sudden you're doing like a 15-mile run which is longer than the actual half, but then you're coming back to, really clean up that 13.1. So you really, really want to calibrate yourself as you go. If you try to like change so much, if your definition of balance is like, I need this to be intact here, but so is about this and this and this and this, and they all need to be, and if you try to fix them all at the same time, it's just going to be that much harder, because you're not getting into those good habits to just kind of calibrate and like let it hum. So, all right, I'm ready for number 3. Are you?
I'm ready as well. And so, once you realize that you need to accept failure, failure is part of the process, you need to add things slowly and steadily, then the goal is to work towards getting into a flow. And that is what it's all about. At the end of the day, we want to get into that flow state where we are feeling that balance. And again, going back to juggling, we started with one, and then they had us add two. And then when we get in there, then we add three, but you're going to drop a few times. You're going to drop. But so just like with the things that you're working on, you're like, all right, cool. What do I need to do? Like April said, how can I calibrate? And then we go again. And then we go again until we get into the flow. And then we're going and going and going.
I can't imagine that it's like easy to do that while you're trying to talk.
It is challenging. Just like trying to manage a career, probably a family, and what other things that you're trying to do. But with time, you start to build up that muscle memory, and then things are going to happen. The thing with juggling is that yes, you can get that muscle memory where you can get to the point where your hands know exactly where it needs to be to catch the balls, but then the environment changes.
Mm-hmm.
I might be outside. There might be something new, and then I have to adjust. Again, once you get balance or harmony or whatever the case may be, it's not smooth sailing from there. You still have to be conscious and aware and make adjustments.
Yeah.
What have you, April?
I mean, and I think that how this translates into, putting balance into practice, right? I mean, what you really want to ideally look for is trying to get your mind in a state where it's not thinking or working too hard. Your mind or your body, however you want to define it. Because when you're working hard, you're not in flow, right? So you want to, the actual tools that you can use to get into flow come in the form of habits, things that are scheduled, really like having structure. You still have to look for new opportunities that might arise. Like as Gary was saying, like you change, one thing about your atmosphere, and then you might have to adjust. So really just keeping that awareness really tuned in. But if you can, help yourself like manage the distraction by staying super focused, that is where the balance lies. And so, set up recurring meetings or, recurring habits that happen at a certain time, because then you don't think about it, right? Like we get up in the morning and we ideally brush our teeth, right? That is something that just happens, ideally. And then you get along with your day, but you don't really think about like, okay, what do I have to do next? Oh, I have to brush my teeth. We just kind of know that that's something that we have to do. So get into some sort of rhythm so that you don't have to think about it and you can go into autopilot. And that will be the suggestion of how we get into flow. So,
yay.
And I think that the one other thing that we wanted to mention, Gary, is that like balance can look different at different times. Like I was saying at the beginning that sometimes balance, differs from person to person, but like think about what balance might have looked like when we were in the thick of COVID lockdown, right? Probably not the same as what we're dealing with right now or what we dealt with pre-COVID. So you want to think about how you can define balance, and we can definitely talk about this, or we'll continue to talk about this throughout the month. There's also the idea of, sometimes you might need to like dive into a project, and your life might be that project for a while, and then you need to, then rest afterwards instead of like managing and juggling 5 different things all at the same time. So there's different seasons, there's all these different things that are happening, and knowing that, like, even if we have a standard definition of balance, we can be taking in some of these unexpected things or these different projects that might challenge our definition. And so we need to constantly be reevaluating and tweaking as we go. So that's all I have to say. You have any last words to add, Gary?
Yeah. One last thing. If you're watching this and you're thinking, yeah, I could use more balance. Just FYI, April is hosting our next webinar, which is next Wednesday, the 21st at 10 a.m. Pacific, noon Central. And that is the title, Finding Success and Balance. She wrote the book on it. She's going to give us some amazing techniques and strategies to help you get back into that flow so that you can do work your way the way that you want to right away, and not sacrifice others important things, maybe like your health or family and stuff like that. There is a link in the description below. So this is where you can RSVP. It's on April's YouTube channel, and
sorry, I don't know where that came from.
it's all good. We just roll with it. But let us know. Let us know in the comments. What do you think about balance? Is it possible? And how do we do comparing it to juggling? And that's pretty much it. April, bring us home.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed this content today, this is just a tiny little preview of what goes on in our wonderful community, the Accountability Success Circle. If you are looking for some community to rally around you in your personal and professional goals, this is the community that will be the community to support you in everything that you need to get things done while having fun. So come check us out at accountabilitysuccesscircle.com. And we'll see you in our next quickie or next week's webinar if you want to come.
Yes.
Come hang out.
Yes. All right. Cue the music.
I love it.